It's just melted glass.
Just melted glass? Every building in the new city is built from just melted glass. Oh no, you have to do something with that talent.
See? I told you you're special.
It looks like Elemental 2 might actually happen, and the excitement started building again after Pixar's surprising box office comeback with the first movie. Because Elemental ended up earning a massive $496 million worldwide, even though its early numbers suggested it might flop, fans naturally want to know what's going on with a sequel. And now that one of the film stars has spoken up, people are hoping more than ever. So let's break down everything we know about the chances of Elemental 2, what the cast and writers have hinted at, and why things actually look pretty hopeful even though nothing official has been announced. The momentum really picked up when Leah, who voices Ember, shared her thoughts about the possibility of returning for another movie. Elemental introduced the sweet developing relationship between Ember Lumen and Wade Ripple, two characters who come from completely different elemental backgrounds but still try to protect Ember's family business while breaking the stereotypes that say fire and water shouldn't mix. With such a strong cast and a charming concept, the movie had all the right ingredients, but it didn't immediately take off. It opened with a pretty weak box office weekend in 2023, and many thought it might be one of Pixar's rare commercial misses. But the story didn't end there. Elemental slowly picked up steam and kept holding its ground week after week. The word of mouth was surprisingly strong, and the movie climbed the charts steadily. It eventually passed not only modest expectations, but some major competitors like Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, The Flash, and even Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So even though things started off shaky, Elemental ended up becoming one of the biggest surprises of the year. And that unexpected comeback is a huge part of why the possibility of a sequel feels more real now. In an interview with The Direct, Leah said she would absolutely love to see Elemental 2 happen. She didn't pretend she had inside knowledge. She openly admitted she hasn't heard anything official yet, but she genuinely hopes Pixar goes for it. Because she clearly has a real love for Ember and the world the movie created, her enthusiasm instantly got fans buzzing. Her exact words were basically that if she knew something concrete, she probably wouldn't be allowed to reveal it anyway, but at the moment she doesn't have any details. Still, the fact that she wants to come back is its own kind of hopeful sign. The big question, of course, is whether Elemental's box office comeback is enough to push Pixar toward greenlighting a follow-up. Considering the movie went from nearly being labeled a flop to earning close to $500 million worldwide, it certainly feels like the kind of turnaround that can inspire sequel talks. And after its financial success, Elemental didn't slow down. It went on to earn an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature, adding even more credibility to its sudden rise. Pixar tends to reward stories that have both strong emotional depth and solid box office performance, so fans are understandably optimistic. But even with all that momentum, Pixar still hasn't said anything publicly about Elemental 2. The studio is currently focused on upcoming projects like Inside Out 2 and Elio, which might explain the silence. Still, it's hard to ignore the potential, especially because the ending of Elemental practically lays the foundation for a follow-up adventure. Ember and Wade decide to leave Element City together after she accepts an internship to study glass design, and the closing moments strongly suggest new environments, new challenges, and more growth for the pair. With the movie's themes rooted deeply in identity, acceptance, and finding your own path, a sequel could easily continue exploring those ideas while introducing a brand new setting. If Pixar does move forward, one of the most interesting directions the story could take is exploring how Ember and Wade navigate their relationship in a new city. Because Element City has its own strict elemental rules, it would be fascinating to see how different regions of the elemental world treat fire, water, air, and land people. A sequel could examine how these different communities blend or clash, and whether Ember and Wade find more acceptance or even bigger obstacles. And since Pixar often continues its stories by flipping certain elements around while keeping the themes consistent, this new environment could let them tell a fresh story without losing the heart of the original. On top of that, fans recently learned that Elemental's writers, Kat Lickle and John Hoberg, already have a starting point for a possible sequel. They admitted there is so much more to tell regarding Ember and Wade's lives together. Some of those ideas were actually part of the early brainstorming process, and even though they weren't included in the movie, they show just how much thought the writers have put into what comes next. One idea that Lickle fought especially hard for was showing Ember and Wade returning to Element City after some time away, with a baby made of steam. She imagined a moment where the couple brings their child home, teasing the future and opening the door for a sequel focused on the challenges of raising a mixed element child. But that scene ultimately didn't make the cut. Even though the steam baby didn't appear in the final movie, the idea alone shows how ready the writers are to explore more of Ember and Wade's lives. And Hoberg pointed out something just as interesting. Instead of relying entirely on big twists or huge plot changes, a sequel could simply follow Ember and Wade adjusting to married life as two very different elements, because once the grand romantic moments settle down, the real work begins, and Pixar could craft an emotional, relatable story about how they learn to grow together. These writers clearly have a lot of affection for the characters, and their excitement about what the future could hold is a good sign, even though nothing has been officially approved. If Pixar decides to move forward, all those early ideas could develop into something meaningful. Elemental already has strong themes about immigration, cultural barriers, and the weight of family expectations. Ember's storyline revolved around discovering who she really is, letting go of her fear of disappointing her father, and accepting that her dreams matter. Her father's admission that running the fireplace wasn't his dream, but raising her was the emotional core of the movie. The ending also ties deeply into the theme of acceptance, not just within Ember's family, but throughout the whole community. From Bernie accepting Ember's passion for glass design to the larger world learning to accept Ember and Wade as a couple, the movie delivers a message about understanding differences and embracing them rather than fearing them. And a sequel could build beautifully on that by showing what happens when Ember and Wade step out into the world, face new cultures, and encounter people who might challenge them in different ways. Of course, all of this depends on Pixar and Disney making the final call. For now, everything is speculation, based on cast enthusiasm, writer ideas, and the remarkable comeback the first movie pulled off. But even though we don't have a confirmation yet, the signs are definitely leaning in a hopeful direction. A strong box office run, an award nomination, a cliffhanger-style ending, and a cast eager to return all help paint a promising picture. So while we wait for an official announcement, fans can at least take comfort in knowing that the people behind the original film care deeply about its world and its characters. And because Pixar has a strong history of returning to the stories that resonate, especially when those stories find unexpected success, it wouldn't be surprising if Ember and Wade return for another adventure. For now, the future of Elemental 2 is still in Disney and Pixar's hands, but the path forward looks brighter than ever. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.